Well guys, following on from me talking about the SNP's Jab Passport Act being unlawful, it seems old fish lips didn't stop there, because their attempts to make some of the laws implemented over the past 2 years permanent is also being called unlawful and open to legal challenge both now and in the future. Scotland's Children Commissioner has actually stated that it's not only disproportionate but would breach Article 15 of the Human Rights Act in various ways, both in relation to the child and their parent. This is also obviously not supported by anyone outside the SNP who just want more power, because a public consultation was overwhelmingly against making it all permanent, claiming it's an undemocratic overreach of government power that has breached human rights. This I 100% agree with, and is different to the past 2 years, since they actually have no emergency to claim that this use is justified, even though it wasn't justified back in 2020 if you ask me. Anyway, enough of all that, let's actually go through some of the details on it, because stopping our government making this shit permanent is bloody important. It headlines Nicola Sturgeon's COVID laws may be unlawful. Commissioner expressed concerns about the government allowing powers to permanently sit on the books for future public health emergencies, or what they say is a public health emergency. Nicola Sturgeon's legislation making her emergency COVID powers permanent may be unlawful and open to challenging the courts for breaching parents' and pupils' human rights, Scotland's Children Commissioner has said. Bruce Adamson said the emergency powers introduced in 2020 represented some of the most serious interferences with human rights imposed by a government since the Universal Declaration on Human Rights was adopted more than 70 years ago. So that there is a pretty serious slapdown by Scotland's Children's Commissioner, it's gotta be said. Obviously, the SNP just didn't care about that and are trying to push it through anyway, because of course they bloody are. In fact, Boris is trying to do the same, you better bloody believe it, let me tell ya. It goes on, the Children and Young People's Commissioner Scotland said any such powers were only lawful if they were time limited, and expressed considerable concerns that the Coronavirus Recovery and Reform Bill would make them permanent, which of course it bloody will, because that's what they're trying to do, as I said. In extraordinary evidence to a Holyrood inquiry, he concluded that even if not used, they therefore may be unlawful under the terms of Article 15 of the European Convention of Human Rights. He warned the bill would give ministers an extraordinary range of powers for substantial interference into children's right to an education, as well as a wide range of their human rights. Megan Farr, a policy officer for the Commissioner, told Holyrood's Education Committee that parents' rights could also be breached by a section giving ministers the power to direct children to attend a specified educational establishment so they can send them where they bloody want, and that doesn't also mean a school. Specified educational establishment is pretty fucking vague, it's gotta be said. It goes on, this could mean families being ordered to send their youngsters to a particular school if their local school is closed during a future pandemic. Ms. Farr said parents have a duty to educate their children, but they also have a right to choose how that happens, so there's a risk that that could be open to challenge, and I guarantee it bloody would be. Pressed by Stephen Kerr, a Tory MSP and the committee's convener, whether the bill would be open to legal challenge, she said, "I think there's a possibility that it could be either now or at a future date." The Commissioner has repeatedly expressed concerns about the government allowing the powers to permanently sit on the books for future public health emergencies, saying this reduces the opportunity for parliamentary scrutiny if they were to be used, which of course is the aim, you can be bloody sure. It says although similar powers were hurriedly introduced at the start of the pandemic, he said they were largely unused before concluding, "We are therefore unconvinced their inclusion in legislation on a permanent basis is proportionate, because it bloody ain't." In fact, it's damn right lunacy, but let's be honest, we've been living through that for the past 2 years, so the SNP are going to try and push this through regardless. But here we get to the bit where it talks about the public consultation and the overwhelming opposition to it. It says the bill gives ministers wide-ranging powers to respond to public health measures, similar to the temporary ones they abused during the pandemic, which have recently been extended by another 6 months to September 24th. So there you see, they're not only trying to make it permanent, but they've also extended them for another 6 months like they actually said they would. I didn't realise myself that they had actually done it. The SNP are truly out of their fucking mind, it's gotta be said. Amongst a host of powers the legislation will give Scottish ministers on a permanent basis are the ability to shut schools and to make laws directly or indirectly imposing restrictions or requirement on people or any premises. So they are literally the lockdown rules that people have been living through for the past 2 years, apparently on a temporary basis, that the SNP now want to make permanent. Surely the UK government should be stepping in saying this is a blatant overreach, but obviously let's be honest, Boris Johnson and the rest of them cucks, they want it also. It goes on, a public consultation on the plans published alongside the bill show overwhelming opposition to it, with respondents claiming of an undemocratic overreach of government power which many felt breached human rights, because it bloody does. So there you see it, the SNP are actually pushing for something that people are calling unlawful and are saying is likely going to be challenged, which of course it bloody should. In fact, I hope someone is preparing one now to challenge this bullshit, and the fact that they've extended them for 6 months. I might actually have to look in to see if someone has. Either way though, it seems almost everything the SNP are doing could be considered unlawful and should be challenged in the bloody courts. We'll have to find out if the courts are impartial and are actually going to do anything about it if any of this is true.